Welcome and thank you for joining me here today at the World Turtle Day webinar. And I'm joined by two very special guests. Now, Ricky sends her apologies. She was going to host today, but unfortunately she's got a cold. But I'm Morgan Pumper. I'm the Manager of Media and Communications at Plastic Oceans Australasia, and I'm so pleased to be with you here today. Now, to celebrate World Turtle Day, I have two guests who know a lot about turtles, and I mean a lot. And they want to share with you some of the interesting things about turtles, as well as some of the impacts that plastic have on them from here in Australia and abroad. Now, firstly, I'd like to introduce Dr. Mark Hamann, who is the Associate Professor of Marine Biology and Aquaculture at James Cook University in Queensland. Hi, Mark.
Hello, how are you?
Nice to be here. Yeah, it's great to have you. Now, thank you for being here. And the second guest we have, I would like to introduce Daniel González Paredes, who is a PhD candidate, who's also from James Cook University in Queensland. So hi, Daniel.
Hi, Morgan. Thank you for having me.
Of course, it's so great to have both of you here today to share with all the people in the audience some of the impacts to turtles, as well as some interesting things about them. So just to start out today, I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today and pay my respects to their elders, past and present. And I'd also extend that respect to any Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islanders watching today. Now, World Turtle Day, it's a day to help celebrate and protect turtles and some of the impacts that they have here in Australia and abroad. And to celebrate this special day, we're raising funds for the development of a Spotlight on Marine Species resource pack at Plastic Oceans Australasia. And now this is for students to help them in understanding the impact of plastic on turtles. And Mark's going to tell us a bit about that later on today at the end of today's episode. So make sure you stick around. Now, plastic is considered one of the greatest threats to the marine environment, and turtles aren't exempt from that. Now, plastic is lightweight, it lasts for a long time, and it's very abundant in oceans. Now, for everyone watching, I want you to think about the last time you went to the beach. Did you see any plastic? What type of plastic was it? You know, were you close to a bin? Was it a busy day? And think about the time before that. I'm pretty sure that everyone here watching, as well as Mark and Daniel, will have seen plastic when they've been at the beach or along one of our beautiful rivers in Australia, which lead into our ocean. Now, one plastic item often thought about impacting turtles is the plastic bag, because when it's in the ocean, it looks like a jellyfish, which is the main food source for the green sea turtle. But today we're going to learn a little bit more about other plastic items, because we're going to learn it's not only the plastic bag that sea turtles eat. Now, to tell us more about this is Dr. Mark Hamann, who has almost 30 years experience researching the behaviour and ecology of marine turtles, as well as threatened marine species. Now, Mark is also a member of the Technical Advisory Panel at Plastic Oceans Australasia, who informs us about science research to ensure that all of our programs are underpinned by science. Now, Mark, welcome. Is it possible just to begin today by telling our audience a bit about turtles and the research that you've done, as well as the types of plastic you find that impacts turtles?
Yeah, thank you very much. Look, it's really great to be here to talk about the turtles and the plastics, because it is a serious issue right across the world for turtles. Now, we're thinking, this is my little friend here. Oh, I've completely vanished.
Where's Mark gone? There he is.
Yeah, my turtle. So this is a little hawksbill turtle. It's obviously not an alive turtle. This was a seized hawksbill turtle from customs, and we use it for kind of activities like this. But this is about the size of the turtles that are mostly impacted in Australia, and probably some smaller than this. So it's World Turtle Day. There's a lot of different turtle species across the world, but what we've focused on here today are the 7 species of sea turtle that we find in the world. And of them, 6 of them are found in Australia. And they're found right the way around Australia, pretty much, including the southern states, where we do find occasional sightings. What we know about sea turtles in Australia is that they're not all equally impacted by plastics. We have places in Australia where we have almost no impacts of plastic pollution, and we have places where we find quite severe impacts of plastic pollution. So one of the places where it's particularly bad is off the southern coast of Queensland and northern New South Wales. We believe the currents here are the ocean currents are closer to the shore, and the small turtles are interacting with those plastics drifting in the currents. Another place we know it's a problem is in the Gulf of Carpentaria, way up in the top northern part of Australia. And in that part of Australia, we have some fantastic Torres Strait Island and Aboriginal groups who get out on the beach and they clean the plastic off the beach and out of the environment. So that's a really fantastic step that those groups are taking. Morgan, you mentioned plastic bags. Now, we don't usually find a whole plastic bag in a turtle's stomach. What we find, however, are the fragments of plastic bags. Now, anyone that's ever taken, one of the small plastic bags, like the ones you see in the big supermarkets that you might put your fruit and vegetables into, that really soft film plastic. And if you were to leave one of them out in your front yard for a few weeks, it would just break down and you would end up with smaller pieces of plastic. And that's what we mostly find inside turtle stomachs, along with other plastic fragments, hard pieces, soft pieces, fibres, all sorts. And Daniel's going to talk a bit more about that. Now, you also mentioned that plastic bags look like jellyfish. The other thing we're starting to see now coming out of the research world is people trying to focus on other things that might make that plastic attractive to the turtles, like its smell, for example. So as soon as we have things in the environment, whether it's something that's meant to be there, like a boat or a rock or etc., it grows algae. And it grows algae. As it grows algae, it develops its own scent and its own smell and its own part of the marine world. And perhaps the turtles are smelling it, investigating it, and then eating it, as well as being able to see it. So, yeah, there's no one piece of plastic type. There's no one type of, of item that causes, the majority of the impact. We find everything from fragments and fibres, from bits of balloons to bits of bags, lolly wrappers, chip packets, fragments of them. A lot of the time they don't have any labels on them, so we can't tell. But sometimes we do get things that are a bit obvious as to what they actually are. But, as I said, it's these little turtles here about this kind of a size. So this is about 30 to 40 centimetres in length. It's these young turtles. They've got small digestive systems, and that's the life stage that we're finding is impacted the most.
Perfect. A lot to take in there, Mark, but obviously those really important points is that there's so many turtles that we have in Australia, so we're so lucky, 6 out of those 7 species, and as well, it's not just the plastic bags, so you brought up balloons and chip packets and that sort of stuff, so we need to be thinking more than beyond just the plastic bag when it comes to turtles and eating plastic, and look forward to hearing from Daniel some of those other items. Now, the impact of plastic on oceans goes far beyond what we see on the beach. It's found on deserted islands where no one lives, as well as the bottom of the Mariana Trench, which is the deepest part of the ocean. Now, for us and as well for you, Daniel, we've all got a strong connection to turtles. So in Australia, their calmness, and they're so majestic in the ocean, but it's also seen as an animal of immortality because they live for such a long time. Now, Mark, could you tell us just a bit about their length of lifespan, but also what other impacts are there to turtles other than the plastic pollution?
Yeah, certainly. The little turtles, the hatchling turtles that you might, if you're lucky enough to see them crawling down the beach, they've got a 30, 35-year journey ahead of them before they reach maturity. So it's a long time. And what this means is that because it's these young turtles that are mostly impacted by the plastic, it's going to take many years, perhaps even decades, before we really start to see the impacts to turtles at a large scale. And you mentioned that it's not just plastics, and there's lots of other things on the land and the ocean that impact turtles. In Australia, we have impacts of climate change and global warming. We have impacts of predation on beaches by either introduced or native predators, goannas, pigs, for example, love to eat turtle eggs. We have fishing nets and bycatch and boat strikes. So there's lots of different things. What I would say, though, is they don't, like plastics, they don't all equally affect all turtles all over Australia. So all of those things, like the turtles, they've got places where they're more or less prevalent. And that's something that management agencies are very aware of, and they can tailor different responses to those problems.
So when it comes to the impact of anything on turtles, so because there's 6 out of 7 found around Australia and New Zealand, is a greater sort of need for us in Australia and hopefully anyone watching from Australia and New Zealand to fight for turtles that are found here?
Yes, and we've got some turtle species like the loggerhead turtle in southeast Queensland, like the hawksbill turtle in northeast Queensland, which have particularly, they have a particular need for conservation, and anyone from the general public, from schools, right the way through to researchers and government agencies, all have roles they can play, and all have things they can do to help turtles across a broad range of different threatening processes. So, there's lots of ways that people can get involved, either in just understanding the animals or helping to reduce the threats.
Perfect. Thank you, Mark. Now, I might bring Daniel in here just to learn a little bit more about some of the plastics found in the stomach. So it was really great to hear from Mark the different types that are found, where it's not just plastic bags, which is something I hope everyone takes away today. Now, Daniel, you've been studying marine turtles for more than 10 years, and your studies are focused on the impact of human activities on these incredible reptiles. Now, welcome, Daniel. Can you just start out by telling us a bit about your research?
Yeah, thank you, Morgan. I'm glad to have the opportunity to talk a bit about my research. It is about the plastic pollution impact on green turtles in Uruguay. First of all, let me introduce what is exactly Uruguay. Uruguay is a small country in South America. It's between Argentina and Brazil. This is bounded by the Atlantic Ocean on the east, and Rio de la Plata, yeah, we can see in the image, and the Rio de la Plata in the south. That is an estuary system. Is like a big river mouth. These waters are home for juvenile green turtles. Actually, the area is considered as a key feeding and development area for green turtles in the South Atlantic. And yeah, we have only juveniles, no more bigger than the turtle that Mark showed before, and just eating and growing in Uruguay. The issue is that these waters usually accumulate a vast amount of plastics, and plastics not only produced in Uruguay, but also all the garbage coming from the rivers draining into this estuary, and also the debris that the two big ocean currents in the area carry to Uruguay, where the two currents converge, just in front of the coast of Uruguay. And these two factors make the area a major hotspot for plastic ingestion by green turtle in the world.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that, Daniel. Now, that sounds pretty serious. So how much plastic is affecting the sea turtles in Uruguay, and what have you found so far?
Yeah, it's very serious things, we are currently investigating how much plastic turtles, green turtles, usually eat in Uruguay. And yeah, we are having samples with more than 600 pieces of plastic. That is too much for a turtle, no more bigger than the turtle that showed Mark before. It's a big set. As we can see here, that's the interesting thing. Turtles in Uruguay seems to eat any kind of plastics, whatever is the color, the shape, the texture. We think that happens because the feeding behavior of the turtle and how they adapt the diet according to the place where they are. So, for instance, it is during the summer when the turtles come to Uruguay to eat algae on the coast, and they are herbivorous. They are vegetarians. Okay. During the winter, when they travel to the north, this is an annual migration. They go offshore. They go far away from the coastline, and they eat whatever they found in the surface, no, in the ocean surface. And what things are really abundant in the area? The plastics.
That's, yeah, very serious. So I guess before we move on to your next research, is there anything that you would like the students in Australia to know about the turtles in Uruguay as you're representing turtles from overseas? Is there something you would like to tell the students today from Australia, New Zealand, and hopefully overseas as well?
Well, I mean, I think we need to focus on research effort about the impact of plastic pollution at a population level. And as Mark told before, is probably we are going to see the real impact of the real magnitude of this issue in years. And also, so there is a point that we need to start to put a big effort to try to understand what is the real magnitude, right?
Perfect. And we'll get to learn a little bit more about the partnership between James Cook University and Plastic Oceans Australasia education programs soon. So to move on to your other research, Dan, I'm really excited for everyone to hear about this. Now, I'm just going to mention the title. It is the Poop Corn Experiment. Now, could you please tell us all, Daniel, what is the Poop Corn Experiment?
Yeah, with pleasure. The famous poop corn experiment. So Morgan, we already know that big fragments of plastics can produce internal injuries in the digestive system of the turtles. For example, I don't know, a bottle cap taken by the turtle can get stuck in the stomach or in the intestines, and this can produce starvation. That is when the turtle stop eating, and eventually death. No, the death of the turtle. This is a really sad example, but it's a real example. No, but on the other hand, this big fragment of big plastics, when remain in the ocean for long time, they go under fragmentation in smaller and smaller pieces that we call microplastics. As you know, plastics are made by chemicals, and most of these chemicals are harmful to health. So the more time the plastic spend into the body of the turtle, the more harmful it is for the health of the turtle. No? So we are trying to understand, or we are trying to estimate how long can take a piece of plastic into the turtle body, and so we are experimenting with corn. And why corn? Because as I say before, turtle are herbivorous. Green turtle in specific are herbivorous, so they love veggies. They can eat corn, but they cannot digest the corn. So we gave corn kernels to the turtles, and we count the days until we recover the kernels in the poop. So I know that sounds a bit nasty, the experiment, but it's not. And to make a more funny research, we named the experiment the poop corn experiment.
And what is turtle poop? What does it look like?
Well, it's a normal.
Smelly?
But it's because they are herbivorous and eating mostly veggies. It's not smell really bad, and obviously we use glove and face mask to manage these things. And well, in the end, we discovered that a piece of plastic can last up to 22 days to pass through the whole digestive system of a small green turtle. So that is actually a long time. So we estimate that juvenile green turtle are also really exposed to the chemical content in the plastic. No, and in short, as you can see, plastic pollution is a big hazard for turtles in many different ways. No?
Yeah, that's incredible. 22 days for the chemicals in the plastic to get into their bloodstream, to pass through their systems and organs, everything. That's really fascinating and something to consider when a plastic item is used for a matter of minutes, that it lasts for hundreds and thousands of years in our oceans, and when turtles eat it for 22 days in their systems. That's incredible. So really glad you took on such an important experiment, Daniel, and to share it with everyone here today. Now, thank you so much to both of you. Now we're going to go into some final questions today. I didn't want to leave without asking each of you, if there was one thing that people watching today could do for sea turtles here and abroad, what is it? What's something that all of us can take as an action so that we can help turtles on this special World Turtle Day? So we'll start with you, Mark.
That's a really, it's a big question. It's often a hard question to ask, because I think people can do a lot of things. And one of the easiest things to do is just to learn about them, to appreciate them. If you're in the position geographically, depending on where you're living, get out and have a look at them. Go and see them laying eggs on the beach. Go and see them while you're snorkeling at your local spot if you can. If you live down in Victoria or South Australia or somewhere much colder, then keep an eye out for them, because we do find turtles in those places as well. So yeah, part of it is just getting to know them, appreciating them. The other thing, of course, is, you know, not just for turtles, but for the marine systems, you know, as a whole, if we can just start to use less plastic or less products that we don't need, dispose of the products we get in the right and the responsible way, rather than sort of littering them in the environment. You know, save on our energy use and try and do our small piece to reduce carbon emissions or transport, lots of different things like that can, when we start getting, you know, lots of these different actions, and not all of them are going to be able to be done by every person, but so it's about doing, you know, the small part that you can as an individual or a family. Yeah,
perfect, Mark. Now, Daniel, how about yourself? What's something that everyone watching today, one action that they could take to help our turtles, and more importantly, the marine environment that's so important to our health as well?
Yeah, I completely agree with Mark. It's a lot of best practice that we can make it in our environment, and definitely plastic pollution is one of the major threats for marine turtles population at present. So you know, it's we as ultimate responsible for this issue. We must involve in its solution. So at personal, at individual level, we can improve or change or consume or way to consume plastics, and looking for alternative products, for example. And a broader level, we also can improve our waste management plans and be more efficient and demanding more sustainable policies, right? And I think that we can do together, and we can turn the tide of plastic pollution together. No? And I always like to finish this kind of talks with a positive message, no? and quoting one of the most influential Uruguayan writers, Eduardo Galeano, who says, many small people in small places doing small things can change the world.
Perfect. So many small people in small places doing small things can change the world. That's a fantastic way to end today, Daniel. So thank you for those inspiring words, and thank you as well to Mark. So for anyone watching, now's the time for the big announcement about the education program at James Cook University and Plastic Oceans Australasia joining together so that we can improve people's understanding of the impact of plastic on sea turtles. So I'll throw it over to you, Mark, to make the big announcement.
Yeah, thank you very much. Look, it's really exciting, and as part of the turtle education resources that we're going to be creating, we're going to develop a hands-on project for schools and school kids in particular. So participating classes are going to be sent a little plastics kit, and they're going to be able to conduct their own analysis on the samples of plastic pieces, either from turtle guts or from turtle nesting beaches, stranded turtles, those kinds of things. So we've got a large lot of samples sitting around that we can use. And so, you know, we're going to appreciate all of this help. And so our aim today really is to try and raise $500 to start with a group of 10 schools or 10 classes on this exciting project to kick off the research. So, you know, you don't have to be a school or a class, you know, particularly close to Townsville. You don't have to be a school or a class particularly close to the coast. So we're interested in trying to sort of do this on a broader scale as we can. I think it's going to be really exciting, and you'll get to see really you know, our lives, but transported into your school classroom.
Perfect, but you won't be sending any turtle poop, I hope.
No, we'll be sending cleaned samples. So the kits will involve, you know, the kits will include some the plastic items themselves, which we'll clean for you, and some calipers to measure them, and some gloves to handle them, and some instruction sheets, etc. So, you know, we'll send you all of the right gear.
Perfect. So anyone that enjoys today's session will really enjoy that activity. I know if I was a young one, I would absolutely jump at that opportunity. So if there's anyone out there that would like to donate, please go to www.plasticoceans.org.au/donate. And for anyone interested in undertaking the Plastic Oceans Australasia education program, you can contact us at info@plasticoceans.org.au, sorry for that slip up. And as well, if you'd like to learn more about some of the research presented here today, you can look up www.karumbe.org, so that is KARUMBE, and you can also look them up on social media. They're there for you to like and follow, as well as looking up the Plastic Free Turtles hashtag and website, and the website is www.plasticfreeturtles.org. Now, as well, if you have enjoyed today's webinar, do come along to our live World Oceans Day webinar on Tuesday, 8th of June. There's more information to come out. So like Plastic Oceans Australasia on Facebook. You can find us by searching Plastic Oceans Australasia. And I'd like to do a quick shout out to anyone from the City of Sydney schools undertaking the waste program with Plastic Oceans Australasia. So hi to all those schools out there in Sydney. We hope that you jump on board and take part in the new education program resources that Mark spoke about just before. And as well, for anyone in secondary school here today, we do have the Oceans Emotions film competition, where possibly it could be that you do some of the research around turtles and you reduce the impact of plastic at your school, and you enter with a 5-minute video to win some pretty amazing prizes. So look out for any of that information on our website. So go to plasticoceans.org.au. Finally, thank you so much, Mark and Daniel, for being here today. I know that I've really appreciated it and learned so many new things, and I'm sure that the people at home watching, the school students, the families will have learned a lot as well. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thanks, Morgan. And yeah, thanks for everyone who listened and listened along. And as you said, if you've got questions, you can follow up with us, you know, and we can help you out.
Yeah, thank you, Morgan. Let's have a really nice conversation with Plastic Ocean.
Perfect. Thank you both. And farewell to everyone watching. We hope you enjoyed today and hope to see you again soon. See you.
Thanks.